Stop playing. Stop playing. Stop playing. Let go of me. Let go of me.
Hold on. What? Was Kirk truly attempting to remove Mendeecees from the road? This drama is on par with attempted murder, so it's not just another ugly reality TV fight. Rumor has it that Kirk Frost planned to have Mendeecees handled during what was meant to be a normal drive, in which case the streets are ablaze with rumors. But you know what? The truth is now slowly making its appearance after the Mendeecees managed to survive. The true question today is, why would Kirk go that far at all? What did Mendeecees do to cause Kirk to lose his temper like this? Above all, who released this terrifying information? Was it a member of their inner circle? An adversary who was once a friend? Or perhaps, just possibly, Mendeecees is attempting to avoid the scandal before it blows up even more. There's no denying that this is more than mere rumors. We have all the juicy information, and it's a full-fledged conspiracy. We're dissecting every aspect of this affair, from treacherous betrayals to potentially fatal setups. It's about to get wild, so grab some popcorn. Mendeecees had no idea that danger was waiting around the corner as he drove down that deserted road. He believed it to be just another ordinary drive, another opportunity to escape the commotion around him. He had no idea, though, that someone else had a totally different idea about how that drive was going to conclude. And Kirk was the someone in question. Yes, you heard correctly. It's possible that the same Kirk who has been disparaging Mendeecees and manipulating them behind the scenes has just escalated the situation. One question is currently circulating the streets. Was this a setup? Let's just say that things are becoming more complicated by the moment. Sources close to the matter are spilling all sorts of tea. Rumor has it that Kirk had been planning a sinister scheme for weeks. There were reportedly some heated discussions, threats, and possibly even a hint of Kirk's "I'ma handle this my way" attitude. Then, all of a sudden, this unexplained traffic accident occurs, leaving Mendeecees alive but scared. Is it a coincidence, or was this a carefully considered plan that simply didn't work out? Let's now discuss the timing since, darling, it appears to be really suspicious. Kirk and Mendeecees got into yet another dispute a few days before to this alleged collision. Furthermore, this was not a small argument. Rather, it was one of those "if I see you in the streets, it's up" kinds of disputes. Things took a turn when Kirk apparently began making some serious threats, even though they had already been at each other's throats about some previous incident involving Yandy. Mendeecees got to be dealt with, according to insiders, and Kirk wasn't going to let this slide. People usually talk a lot when they're angry, but after what transpired, many are beginning to question whether Kirk truly meant everything he said. Not to mention that Kirk has a history of harboring resentment. He's had problems with Mendeecees before, and this is definitely not the first time he's been found acting shaddily. Rumors circulated just a year ago that Kirk was part of some covert scheme to overthrow Mendeecees, whether it was by tampering with his business dealings or destroying his reputation. Now, though, it appears that the situation has now gone far beyond words. According to a number of accounts, Kirk had some associates in place who kept tabs on Mendeecees' every move. The streets are chatting, and if the rumors are accurate, everything about this was planned down to the last detail. Some people are even thinking that Kirk was aware of Mendeecees' precise driving location that evening, and that the entire accident was a botched effort at something far more sinister. The details are crazy, and it's difficult to deny how well planned this whole thing appears to be. Just consider this. Mendeecees is driving down a peaceful road, taking care of his own business, and suddenly there's an unexpected obstacle. No, something doesn't seem right. It's simply impossible to overlook the timing, the dangers, and the two of them's past. And let's discuss what transpired following the incident because, darling, that's when things start to get murky. Kirk has been quite silent about the situation. No public appearances, no statements, just total radio quiet. Kirk is known for being outspoken when drama arises, so why is he suddenly keeping quiet? Is he attempting to dodge inquiries? Is he thinking that this will all be over before anyone notices? Because let's face it, wouldn't you be screaming from the rafters about your innocence if someone accused you of anything similar? Although Mendeecees hasn't been speaking out much either, people close to him say he is certain that this wasn't a chance incident. He reportedly said to his people, "I understand what's happening. It was a setup, and you can be sure he will begin searching for answers if that is what he thinks. Because let's be honest, he wouldn't be willing to overlook it if someone actually attempted to remove him. Not to be overlooked are the witnesses. Yes, there were witnesses to what transpired that evening, and based on their accounts, it wasn't simply plain poor luck. Another automobile was allegedly involved, and it was following Mendeecees for a while before things went south. And the driver of that vehicle. Yes, they left the site even before the police arrived. Now, unless someone had something to conceal, why would they just dip like that? This is when things get even more bizarre. According to some, Kirk may have been on that road himself, ensuring that everything went as planned rather than just being the man behind this arrangement. Just before everything turned to the left, a source who says they were near the scene reports seeing a car that seemed familiar parked on the side of the road. And you know what? That vehicle bore a striking resemblance to Kirk's. Let's dissect this now. This wasn't just a talk tough and hope for the best scenario. It was planned out if Kirk was actually present that evening and witnessed the entire event. Mendeecees needed to be removed off the road, and they wanted it to appear as though an accident had occurred. Let's not pretend that Kirk hasn't been acting amusingly lately. The same man who has been exposed for dubious business practices, who has been the target of drama for years, and who always appears to have an explanation for why things go wrong when he's around. However, this is a completely other level. Mendeecees is now preparing for whatever comes next, while Kirk is out here evading inquiries. According to reports, he has been speaking with prominent figures in the field in an attempt to piece together the true events of that evening. And believe me, what if he discovers that Kirk was actually involved? Yes, there will be a war. The worst part is that there are already whispers that Mendeecees is planning his own retaliation. Yes, exactly. Kirk might want to reconsider if he truly believed he was going to pull a quick one and go as if nothing had happened. What if Mendeecees obtains evidence? It's going to become ugly, darling. The streets are now tense as they await the next action. Will Mendeecees make a strong comeback? Will Kirk say something at last? Or is this the start of a far larger scheme that none of us anticipated? There is no doubt that this is not the end, by no means. Suddenly, the stakes are high, the tension is thick, and everyone is waiting to see what will happen next. However, do you believe this was a mess? Oh, just wait until you hear the next thing. Let's be clear now, Mendeecees is not the kind to take such an attack lightly. Kirk obviously forgot who he was dealing with if he truly believed he was going to pull a quick one, leave Mendeecees shaken, and then simply depart like nothing had happened. Because let me tell you, if the reports are accurate, Kirk may have just made the biggest mistake of his life. Mendeecees is already working behind the scenes. Mendeecees has reportedly been making some very important calls. And not just to his typical crew, no, we're talking to well-known individuals with significant clout. He has allegedly been contacting legal professionals, business insiders, and even a few people with relationships that aren't quite legal, to put it mildly. And let's be honest, Mendeecees is not going to overlook this if he really thinks Kirk sought to remove him. This is where things become even more complicated. Because Kirk is out here attempting to manage the damage while Mendeecees is busy planning his next move. Indeed, when people begin to piece things together, Kirk appears out of nowhere, attempting to pretend that he has nothing to do with this. It was the silence first. Right now, acting as though the entire thing is a bizarre coincidence, he is now out there playing the y'all reaching card. However, the receipts do not support his position, darling. Because some leaked messages that, if accurate, tell a very different story surfaced online just as people began to question him. According to screenshots, Kirk is seen stating to someone a few days prior to the collision, "That dude think he's untouchable." He became overly at ease. And another one, "I would wager that you won't anticipate this. I'm not sure about the rest of you, but that seems a lot like someone is plotting something." Not to mention that Kirk has already been caught stating dubious things. This man has a history of concealing his hands and hurling rocks. However, this seems a bit too specialized to be a casual conversation. And you know what else? The Mendeecees team isn't participating, because he's going to start his own probe, according to people close to him. Yes, you heard correctly. Mendeecees is working hard, reviewing everything, including phone logs and security cameras, because he is curious about the extent of this and exactly who was involved. Finally, let's discuss who else might be involved. This whole thing might not be a one-man show, I assure you. It has been suggested that Kirk wasn't operating alone and that he had assistance from others. And I'm not kidding when I say that the names being murmured are alarming, darling. According to some reports, Kirk may have received outside assistance, perhaps even from members of Mendeecees' own social circle. Imagine that now. Imagine believing that you are safe and that you know who is looking out for you, only to discover that someone very close to you may have been involved in an attempt to set you up. That is a very different kind of treachery. Not to mention that money speaks. You can bet that Kirk had to buy off some people to ensure that everything happened as planned if he truly wanted this to happen. But something went wrong, darling, because Mendeecees survived rather than being eliminated. And now, Kirk is now dealing with a major issue. Because let me tell you, everything starts to fall apart when a plan doesn't work out. People are currently speculating that someone who was a part of this scheme may be set to lose it. Yes, rumor has it that someone is already feeling the heat and may decide to speak up in order to protect themselves. What if that occurs? Well, that's it for Kirk. Because the entire house of cards collapses the moment one individual begins to reveal. Kirk is aware of it, I assure you. He has been acting differently as a result, low-key, apprehensive, and cautious. Because deep down, he is aware that the truth is on the way. Speaking of the facts, let's discuss Mendeecees' future plans. Because you can be sure that he isn't going to sit around waiting for answers. Rather, he is currently doing action. According to some, he has already been in touch with officials to begin conducting a formal investigation into the matter. This implies that police reports, phone taps, and perhaps even some covered investigations are taking place right now. And let's face it, what if there is concrete proof linking Kirk to this? Oh, he's finished. But then there's the other story circulating, which implies Mendeecees may not even be considering going the legal way. According to some, he wants to deal with issue on the streets instead. I won't say anything for sure, but let's just say that Mendeecees isn't the kind to ignore that if he thinks Kirk actually tried to take him out. And for that reason, Kirk is most likely perspiring at the moment. Because the truth is that he will be pursued by Mendeecees, whether it is through the legal system or the streets. Furthermore, we must not pretend that Kirk is unaware of his mistakes. His entire demeanor has changed. This man was out here flexing, acting recklessly, and talking nasty just a few weeks ago. Right now, he's moving silently now. He is now keeping an eye on his every move. He is now avoiding specific locations and people, and let's face it, he is most likely sleeping with one eye open. Because deep down, this isn't over, he knows that. Mendeecees is on his neck, and he knows it. And when a man like Mendeecees begins to seek clarification, the guilty don't get off easy. We are now at a turning point. Kirk was on one side, frantically trying to hide his identity and avoid being implicated. On the opposite side, Mendeecees is preparing for whatever comes next, working behind the scenes, and preparing to correct the record. The real question, though, is what will happen when these two finally meet in person. Because when I say that moment is approaching, I mean it's going to happen soon, sweetie. When does it happen? You already know it's going to blow up, don't you? But what if you felt that everything was suddenly a mess? You don't know what's going to happen next, baby. Because this story is far from over, I assure you. Let me tell you something, though. Mendeecees never gives up until he achieves his goals. And now, he's looking for the truth. Everyone is aware that this isn't over, and the streets are already bustling. Even if Kirk is attempting to hide and avoid the heat, he can run as much as he likes since the truth will eventually be out. Kirk isn't made for this kind of pressure, let's face it. He misjudged who he was playing with, but he believed he could get away with filthy tricks. And now, he now understands that Mendeecees isn't merely lounging around. He's out for blood. Let's also discuss the recent advancements that have everyone in awe. Simply wait until you learn about the most recent receipts that have come to light if you felt that the leaked communications were horrible. There is genuine footage that might reveal EVARET Hang, according to an unidentified source. You know, the ones that always surface when things start to get real. Yes, you heard correctly. Minutes before the collision, a black SUV is allegedly seen following Mendeecees in gas station surveillance footage. And you know what? The SUV is said to fit the specifications of a vehicle that Kirk has previously been spotted driving. If this video is real, baby, it's finished. For example, what are the odds that Kirk's vehicle was just behind Mendeecees immediately before he was run off the road? That is a say to you peep, not a coincidence. The situation becomes much more bizarre at this point, because according to those close to Mendeecees, he has already obtained the video and intends to use it to definitively expose Kirk. The problem is that Mendeecees aren't only considering going public with this. No, sweetheart. He is engaged in a game of chess. Not to mention that Kirk still has contacts. If things become too messy, he has individuals in his pocket who might try to brush this under the rug. What is the job of Mendeecees, then? He moves cleverly. Rumor has it that he intends to release the video in a manner that ensures it cannot be removed. He is reportedly giving copies to influential figures in the field, including certain media outlets, to ensure that this footage is released when it does. There is no way to recover from that. People are speculating about something else that has the potential to completely turn the situation upside down, as if that weren't awful enough for Kirk. Because if these reports are accurate, Kirk may be facing more than just street retaliation. He may also be facing serious legal issues. Yes, exactly. According to some, Mendeecees' legal team is already getting ready to act, and if Kirk is formally linked to this attempted suicide, there may be serious charges involved. And if Kirk is legally involved in this, believe me, he's finished. Since Kirk isn't exactly a saint, let's face it. Even if the authorities find a semblance of proof connecting him to this occurrence, his name is already associated with some shady activities. They will delve further. Old skeletons begin to come out of the closet when they begin digging, and you know what happens. Kirk got a ton of skeletons, baby, but let's take a moment to stand back. Because something else is going on behind the scenes while Kirk is out here frantically trying to protect himself. You see, Mendeecees is not just concerned with obtaining justice for himself. He is also attempting to identify the other parties involved. Remember, there have been rumors that Kirk wasn't acting alone. Mendeecees is aware of this. He is aware that this was made possible by someone, someplace, and for that reason, some claim that he has recently been attending some really fascinating meetings. According to rumors, Mendeecees has been meeting up with some surprising individuals who may know more about the actual events of that evening. This is where things get messy, darling, because according to some others, Kirk's greatest confidant may be the first to betray him. We don't yet know the name, but what if the reports are accurate? Kirk's close friend is already speaking. When that floodgate opens too, that concludes it. Because let's face it, loyalty evaporates when people realize they could be sucked down for something like this. And did Kirk actually have assistants? You can be sure that at least one of them will flip in order to escape. The most important question of all, though, is what will happen when Kirk and Mendeecees actually meet in person. Because let me tell you something, even though Kirk may be attempting to hide, he will eventually be unable to do so. These two will have to meet in person at some time. And when that occurs, sweetie, it will be devastating. Because let's face it, Kirk knows that Mendeecees aren't going to let this go. And the current state of affairs, retaliation is no longer the only factor in this. This has to do with removing a name, revealing a snake, ensuring that everyone is aware of the truth. And when, I tell you, does the truth surface? Someone's reputation, job, and possibly even their freedom will be at stake. What are your thoughts then? Is Mendeecees being paranoid, or is Kirk actually responsible for this? Will he be brought down at last by the leaked footage? Most importantly, what will Mendeecees do next? Because if there's one thing we can be certain of, darling, it's that this narrative is far from over. And there you have it, people, one of the most incredible tales being told in front of our very eyes. Now, however, we must pose the actual questions. Is Mendeecees merely making the connections the way he wants to, or is Kirk actually responsible for this? Will Kirk finally be exposed once and for all in that leaked footage? More significantly, how far will Mendeecees go if he is preparing for retaliation? As you are all aware, this is far from done. Not even close. What do you believe will happen next? Then, I'm sure you have some theories, so please share them in the comments section below. If you're as shocked as we are right now, remember to hit the like button while you're at it. And darling, would you like to be the first to know about this mess's next update? I promise you won't want to miss what comes next, so make sure you click the subscribe button and enable post notifications. This tale is going to get even more bizarre. And when does it happen? We'll be right here dissecting everything. We'll see you at the next one. Aim for the future.